We're live. Hey, bro, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Mary? Welcome to 2024. We're about a month in, so I think it's past the you can say Happy New Year to somebody stage. I think that dies after about 3 days, 4 days. But yeah, well, Happy New
Yeah, but
Year, and
tech bros get started 3 weeks into the year, so
yeah,
whatever.
right. We've been
roll,
on a long vacation.
roll out of bed, crack open a beer, and get started. So it's been a year or so since we started this fun and games shenanigan of our show,
Yeah,
and yeah, it doesn't feel like that. I know. I remember when we started. I can't even. The first episode was actually we had your buddies from who were former Airbnb
there's
people.
ex-Airbnb people we had on.
Yeah, that was fun. And then fairly soon, like a month into it, was already when the craziness of the Silicon Valley Bank was that.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
was
That
that
was
the
that
March?
was March. That was March of last year, and
Yeah,
we had Nick on work stream, and he was telling us that afternoon about how that morning he had like been going to the bank and trying to move money around, going to the physical bank. That was a fun one.
kind of
We've had a
reminiscent
bunch of
of
great
people in New
episodes.
York in 1929 type
Yeah,
situation.
right. You literally got to physically go move the money around, put it in a big burlap sack, and run it over to the other bank or something.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't plan the show as a retrospective, and it certainly won't be. But do you have like a highlight of when you look back and like, man, that was a fun show? Uh,
Oh, I've got a few good ones. I think Phil Hall's one of my favorite people around. Having him on was fun.
he's
Uh,
great. Yeah.
Talking to Raj after he'd sold his company to Databricks, that was a cool one.
Mm-hmm.
Just hearing from someone who sold their company to a pretty big name, and hearing about what the process was and what his plans are was very cool. I think that's our most watched episode too, across platforms and channels, or most streamed or most viewed as well. So those are all good. But yeah, we've had a lot of interesting guests on from all
Yeah.
over the tech sphere.
Say that again.
We've had a lot of interesting people from all over the tech sphere around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Uh, Ones that stand out to me are sort of maybe the guests that I didn't know. So Sarah McKenna, who's the CEO of Sequentium, that's
Mhm.
just the type of show that I learned a lot from because she's a
Yeah,
CEO
alt data
and
and how that all
talking
works. Yeah,
about
that was a
data.
great. She's great. I
Also,
love Sarah.
we talked alt data with Soren. That was not too long ago. That was one of our last shows of the year. And then the ones I enjoyed the most are the ones that we're doing today, the town halls, where who knows who we're going to get, who shows up. And we've got one person waiting in the waiting room already. We'll pull her up in a little while, Ramona. But, all sorts of people chime in and tell us what they care about or are pissed off about or are laughing about or whatever. So yeah, it's been good. And the specific space that you and I work in, I mean, you're a bit broader in your work than I am, but this whole modern data stack world, it's just kind of funny too, because that whole world has, I don't want to,
Oh, I've been watching it gloriously die off for the last year, and it's been
yeah.
hilarious. And like, I don't know, when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked, and like, unfortunately, a lot of people have like lost their jobs, or
Mm-hmm.
companies, like a lot of these companies are operating like on about 6 months of runway right now. I know that because I invest in the space and other things. Yeah, we'll see how this plays out in the next couple of months here. And
Yes.
I've had a great time in the last year. Like I've run a data consultancy for several years. In 2023, mostly working in go-to-market and strategy for a bunch of companies. Not necessarily data consulting that where I'm hands-on keyboard and doing that like I'd done for a few years
Mm-hmm.
prior. But in 2023, moving to like a lot of these companies in the whole broad data world, realize, hey, we don't like have good marketing, or we don't actually have a good message. We don't know what we
Mm-hmm.
stand for.
Or we don't
And
have a go-to-market strategy, period.
yeah, and like a lot of it's just, all right, well, we got a bunch of users on our free open source thing. Now what? Like, how do we monetize them? And do we raise prices? And, what we're going to keep seeing is more of these open source types of companies raise or like put into place for all future versions of the releases, like paid offerings instead of just having it be free. I mean, Snowplow did that recently. HashiCorp obviously did that last year with a few things. It's going to keep happening. It's going to happen over and over again because you just can't make money giving things away for free or giving too much away for free indefinitely. So that's something I'm looking forward to this year. And I do a lot of pricing exercises with a couple different companies around, like, how can we roll this out? How can we roll a pricing change out? How, like, how do we split our offerings from our, bronze to silver to gold, 3 different options or 2 different options on the platform, those types of things. So, I'm excited to get back to making money. And then where like businesses are run to make money and to run, if not profitably, at least close to profitably. So, that's what I'm looking forward to in 2024.
Yeah.
And I think like what you and I were discussing, that leads into like something that like, there's a couple like really big things out there that are going on, more broader than like the data space necessarily, but like 2 of the big ones out here, big changes for this year. One is cookie going away. Like I wrote up, some stuff on this. I'll have a whole blog out on it probably at some point, but the cookies going away, ad tech and the way that advertising works now is largely going to go away. You and I, Mary, we both did a exercise with Crosshatch, startup in the space, about like Epsilon and data brokers and what do they know about you. And
which, by the way, the type of exercise that everybody should do: go to a company like Epsilon, look for what they know about you, and it's so much fun.
Yeah. If you want to share that blog post in the comments or something, but yeah, if you go to any of these, sites, what do they know about you? Like it said that, I'm someone who buys adult incontinence products and snack rolls, and then it said like my partner who is Jewish is African American. It has all these things that are wrong. And like these are the audiences that get sold and how things are marketed. So the whole thing's broken. And with this cookie going away, what we're going to see here is a lot of these companies, try and take ownership of their customers more. And that leads into the other big trend here, which is like, and I think that a lot of people are not paying attention to this, but they really need to pay attention to it, is Google and Yahoo in 6 days from now, February 1st, or for 5 to 6 days, I guess. Google and Yahoo are going to enforce spam rates of 0.3%. And so what that means is that if you're sending emails, whether you're a B2C company and like people signed up on your site, like, hey, put in my email to get 15% off a first order, and then you get put in a drip campaign. Or if you're an SDR and you're outbounding people and you're sending like 500 emails a day out to, your call list or your email list or whatever, a lot of that is like at risk. And a lot of these current B2C and B2B companies have spam rates, especially smaller ones, of like 1% or 2%. Like, 1 out of 50 people are just like block, spam, if they don't want to get the messages. That's all going to stop now. And if you're at those rates, you're at risk because Google is going to start enforcing this, and they'll just send all of your stuff to spam. For all of your customers. And they're going to roll it out in phases, they say, starting in February through June. But I think a lot of what these B2B SDR teams and outbounding teams have been doing the last couple of years, that's mostly going away with these emails. I think drip campaigns in general are going away largely for like, people who maybe signed up for a list but never bought the product. That's all going away. My inbox is a mess. I mean, I get all kinds of nonsense and I try and tag it and stuff. And, it's impossible because your data just gets sold everywhere else.
The interesting find for me was, as a vegetarian household, we're listed for like all these meat products, and yet no one is marketing
Yeah,
vegetarian.
that was my favorite. Is when
Yeah.
you did the exercise, right? You came up as like you're a meat eater and someone who buys meat,
All
and
kinds of
therefore
meat.
you get marketed
I
meat
found it
products. You don't
offensive
buy
how
it,
much meat was in there. Whereas I
right?
would welcome advertisements. It's hard to find good vegetarian products and to like find new stuff. I would welcome those advertisements. There's so few ads I would welcome.
Right. And so like I'm big on like this is the year of like retention over acquisition. Like
Mhm.
last couple of years, the marketing dollars at a lot of companies were all getting spent on acquisition, growth, new customers. Fire it into Google, fire it into Facebook or Meta, fire it into LinkedIn stuff, and like try and get as many people through as possible to know about your brand. And obviously that raises costs, and everyone's competing for the same audiences. The audiences are not that good, apparently, especially in the B2C space. But like, it's going to be interesting. I think LinkedIn also is going to become a spam channel. If email gets shut down, LinkedIn is where a lot of these efforts are going to go. And I expect LinkedIn to be very spammy going forward. Maybe that's a hot take, but I think that LinkedIn is probably a big call for me here. I think that they're doing all this like top voices stuff. They're going to become the spam channel when email, gets cut this year. And I think a lot of people are just going to be ticked off with LinkedIn. And I think this opens up opportunity for a new platform to come in. So I'll be, on the lookout for that this year. But anyways, I'm just rambling about what's going on in
No,
this.
so much to go off of there. But let me just bring in a few comments. Going back a while, Parker said, basically it's an amazing concept to think about making money from some of this free software. Haha, we've all been there, Parker, in those startups that don't actually have any money-making plans. Jose says he is actually still in shock that Yahoo still has an email service. Aren't we all? Don't you have family members who are still on Yahoo? I mean, everybody's
There's still plenty of people on Yahoo.
every family has one AOL person, one like Yahoo person,
right.
one Hotmail person left. I don't know if this is Timo giving these other comments here. I can't see all
I think it's Timo.
Yeah.
He says, "Did you see my last email bumping this?"
Yeah, I did not see your last email.
So those are going to go in, and if you really want to start enforcing this February 1st, just start hitting spam on all this because it's going to be enforced.
Yeah,
and we'll see what happens. Like a lot of these companies are going to have a lot of problems with their outbounding.
Yeah, it's lots of changes happening. It's great. Let's bring in Ramona, who's joined us here. Anyone else is welcome to join as well. Hey, Ramona, how are you?
Hey,
Happy
I'm good.
New Year.
This is the closest I could find to a Stanton hat.
Got it. Well, you're wearing the hat, so.
And I brought a friend.
A cowboy.
Oh, good.
Cowgirl is Jesse, right?
Yeah. This is I think the battery ran out because this is an original. Look.
I don't know, Jesse.
That's from Toy Story 2.
Oh.
Yes, and you know what? This was an investment. I think its value right now is at least 10 times what I paid for it. So, and it has this thing. I think it would make noises, right? But I think the battery ran out.
Now it's not worth 10 times as much anymore.
Charge it up for the next show.
Yeah. When I wanted to do a demonstration, it just didn't work. I'm just happy to see you both. I saw Lauren this year. Not you, Mary.
It'll happen.
I don't have that much to contribute, but it's funny, Lauren, that you mentioned Epsilon, that I will do the exercise. I had an interesting experiment last weekend when I wrote a post, actually a sarcasm at LinkedIn's address. And that post just, I put it on Saturday evening when nobody's on LinkedIn. It was supposed to just get lost in the swamp. Mm-hmm. And it performed so well that it just like 10,000, 15,000, something like it just blew my mind. And then I wrote an article about, I'm not even an epsilon on the scheme of things, when we talk math, I'm not even an epsilon there, but this post overperformed. So I continue with the sarcasm, and I put this on. I coined a new virus, sarcasmia LinkedInitis. So I think I just
You're going to be an influencer very soon, Ramona. You better watch yourself.
yeah.
You're going to be an influencer.
Yeah, but you know what? When I started writing about this, I think I spammed I virus the virus, and then it's just I cannot. I'm trying to be serious. I'm a serious professional, right? And I want to present myself, but I just can't. It's just too easy. It's just too easy with this, and I can't stop. Like I wake up in the middle of the night, and then just I'm churning all these things and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do either of you read the LinkedIn Lunatics subreddit over on Reddit?
Yeah, I've read it before.
Where they just highlight some of the crazy.
Oh, yeah.
This is all part of the big trend, though.
Yes, the Luddites, right?
It's about the battle for attention.
Yes.
The best way to get attention is to be a lunatic. I mean, you have people out here, posting pictures of like their Adderall prescriptions, trying to get people to buy data products and stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, first of all, like, that's illegal. Second of all, like, who's buying this? And like, it turns into insanity, the whole thing. It's all turned into complete insanity. And I think with email dying, LinkedIn is going to become just the spam channel, like just pure spam. And it already kind of is, because if your job title says like, you're a VP of something, or you're a founder of something, or you're, something, where you can spend a budget, you're getting bombarded with nonsense all the time already. And it's just going to get worse. So it's not only just the spam, it's the content on LinkedIn as well is going to become, I think, more ridiculous this year. And I sit back and I laugh at, pretty much everything because it's all just funny to me. Like, everything's just one big game.
What's tricky is to figure out what's next, though, because it's not newsletters, because everybody has a Substack, or Medium, which and again, those of you who do that, I know both of you have readers. I'm not putting you down, but most newsletters just become more email spam, right? You sign up to, I don't know, I'm signed up to like 500 newsletters and I just delete them all from my email, right? So I don't know what the next platform is going to be. Twitter/X is evolving. I know you're so big on Twitter, Lauren, in terms of you think that's still the place to be.
Yeah, I can tweet something out and move a stock price if I want.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing.
I don't know if there's any other, obviously, I never bought into even for a second the Instagram threads nonsense. I don't know what's next.
Well, I think LinkedIn is going to have competition. I think there is a market now as this platform becomes the LinkedIn platform becomes more saturated with just like nonsense of wacky characters filling the timeline and just getting more spam, that a lot of people are just going to get turned off, and that opens up the opportunity for something new. I mean, they don't really have any direct competitors. Technically every social media competes with each other, but like there's not really a professional or work related specific one. People can use Facebook for that if they want, if they have a small business or something. People can use X, Twitter for that. Obviously influencers like will use TikTok or Instagram to run their business, but there's not a professional, like, white collar oriented alternative. And I'm interested. If anyone has thoughts on this. Yeah. Sean McKenzie says one way LinkedIn or any platform would be better is probably that the one way LinkedIn or any platform would be better would be that it would probably not be best effort delivery, unlike email, where overly busy systems can just drop messages. That's a good point. That's an interesting point. I'm curious to see what happens with email like this year, and what happens with all of this.
Soon enough, we'll run out of space on the email, right? Because all this spam that we're getting, like we subscribe to whatever things we want to read the long form that we never do. I mean, it's just. I don't know about you, but if the first paragraph doesn't just get me, I just no, I move forward. And on Medium to actually get some money out of reading an article. Somebody, I think they have a limit. You have to read like to be 30 seconds there or something. So people then are incentivized to write something long form, but then nobody wants to read a long form. So it's just, which rabbit are you trying to catch here?
Yeah, when the average attention span is like 7.5 seconds.
Yeah, and then you have all the talk about resumes and hiring, and they say, oh, 2-3 seconds. So the attention span there is 2-3 seconds, but you want to sell something that requires at least 30 seconds, and it's a mess. And of course, I refrain to sarcasm and humor because this is all silly, and it's a coping mechanism.
Oh, it's all a coping mechanism,
Yeah.
and like it's all right. And
I like that honesty. Yeah.
I think
Jose says his 2 cents. He loves writing both satirical and professional content here on LinkedIn. I don't love it, but I do it, and I still see the value. And as much as long term, I think that probably Lauren's prediction is right, because when has she been wrong? Never. You're a good, trend predictor, but I do think there's still a lot of potential in using LinkedIn. I do a lot of LinkedIn coaching and consulting, and there's one phrase I hear from like pretty much everyone when I say like you've got to be on LinkedIn or you've got to boost your LinkedIn or whatever. It's literally like, I hate LinkedIn. I hate, like, there's such this strong visceral reaction. At the same time, it's incredibly useful. I can't see the name of this next comment, the person who wrote it, but they said, I hope the next place isn't the metaverse.
It will not be the metaverse. The metaverse is not real.
Yeah. So.
But like with newsletters, like the thing, like people, when I post a blog every month, once a month, maybe once every 3 weeks, or something. Like, I don't really have a cadence to it, but like I always get emails following up, and people will digest my stuff, and like I'll get a nice email from someone who will say like, oh, like this is a great point. I've never thought about this. This is another great point, and like I'll meet that person and connect with them and talk to them. And this isn't out in the public though. Like I'll put something out in the public, and then people will, will chat over email or something, or if they're like, I'll hop on a Zoom call or something. Or if they're like in the New York area, I might even.
You're getting comments and responses and reactions because over time you've built up an audience, which ultimately was multi-platform, right? Like you started on Medium. And
sure. But like, I think my point is that like, a lot of what goes on social media is posturing. Everything's one to many. Like it's one, like me to many. But like the actual conversations and the way real business closes or the way real relationships are formed are still 1-to-1 usually. And that's the way that like, if you look at this as top of funnel versus bottom of funnel, the bottom of funnel is still 1-to-1. It's still a handshake. Or some equivalent of that. I don't think that's going to change, but we'll see.
I agree with that, Lauren. And actually, LinkedIn is good for that. If you pay attention, you'll meet your people. And what I do these days, I just have coffee chats, people I've never met, but when you see what they write or how they comment, it's just, you get something, you feel a connection there. And those who you want to talk about will reply and they want to talk to you. And those who just, flows over their head, that just goes away. And I remember both of you were supposed to go to Data Day, Texas.
Are you going?
I think it's happening now.
No, but you were supposed to be speakers, no?
Yeah, but we
I never got any follow-up on that, so whatever. I think that's tomorrow or Sunday.
And I've got too much going on, so yeah.
There's also people don't understand this. From 2019 to early 2023, about a year ago, like when I've shifted my business since then, but like all of the data work that I got as a consultant, I think this is important for anyone who's considering like going off on their own or starting their own, business, whether that's full-time or part-time or something, like going to data events is not going to get you any customers. Going to data events is literally just for venture capitalists and, sometimes like just with your existing customers, getting them away from their families. Like I've flown some of my customers out to conferences before and like, paid for it. And like, they like it because it's getting away from the families, but they're already my customers and my clients that I've worked with. But if you really want to get like new business, you should not be going to a data conference. If you want to get new business, you should be, and like I live in New York, so I'm a little like spoiled here, but any major city will have it. You can go look at what the events are happening, like conferences or things that happen like in your area, whether, near any major city. And if you go there and you shake hands and meet people and be extroverted, even if you're a little introverted, be a little extroverted when you want to, meet people. If you're the data expert there and you're like the only person and you're at the convention of like, pharmacists of blah, 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 or the field service technicians and field services technology conference. So, people who make software for people who like run pest control and plumbers and things like that. If you go there, you're like the one data person there. Right. And if you talk to people about what their data problems are and you have lunch with someone or meet someone, you are the one fish in that pond. But if you go to a data event, everyone's a data person. Everyone's like, oh, I'm an engineer of this. I'm a software engineer of this. I'm analytics, this, that, or the other. And so like, they're not good for new business. A lot of people make that mistake. The same with AI conferences. Like, I have a couple of companies that I'm, invested in or I advise that are doing things around AI. I don't buy into most of the hype, but there is value to some of the stuff being built, I think. And, some of the founders that I advise are back are like going to an AI conference. Like, oh yeah, we're going to find customers there. Every time there's no customers there. There's just other AI startups. So like, fish where the fish are is my advice to all of this, regarding like industry conferences and everything. You're going to go see people and hang out or whatever who do the same thing as you. That's one thing, but don't go in there thinking you're going to get new business is my spicy take. And go to the conferences, go to the boring ones. Like I went to a conference a couple of years ago for people who own franchises. So like someone who owns 20 like Wendy's franchises. And then someone who owns, this like joint care, like a chiropractor network. They own like franchises as part of a larger company. And they have specific data needs because they're an ops business, because the parent company does the marketing, the parent company does, gives them the supplies and they have to buy from them. So all they can really fix is their day-to-day operations, which is like how many people they staff, like what the order flow is over time, over seasonality, when do they repurchase stuff, things like that. It's very operational, and they're all doing it in Excel mostly. And I found that like, going to these and talking to some of these people that I could build them little solutions and they'll pay a lot of money for it. And, these people aren't going to, the data council and they're not going to Snowflake conference and things like that.
This is priceless advice, Lauren. I mean, people pay good money for this kind of advice, and wow, why isn't anybody talking about this?
Well, yeah, we'll just move this to OnlyFans, and you can tip me. I'll move this off of.
A year ago when we started this, I think I opened an OnlyFans in our name. We just never have used it, so maybe that's what we do in 2020.
Is my name on OnlyFans?
I think it's like whatever. I think it was like the Tech Bros, Mary and Lauren at Gmail or something like that. So don't worry, there's nothing compromising on there yet.
Well, I keep getting ads on OnlyFans because they're doing comedy shows, I guess, on OnlyFans now. I mean, it is just a streaming platform.
Yeah. I'm a fan of OnlyFans just because they own what they do. Like unlike other companies in that realm we've talked about that kind of hide under these shell names. I mean, OnlyFans, everyone knows what.
That was actually one of my favorite. You asked at the beginning, Mary, what was like one of the more interesting ones? We had a researcher. I believe she was at McGill.
Yeah, another Canadian. Yeah, like Ramona. Yeah.
Yeah, and she, she was telling us about all the research she'd done into like various adult-oriented sites and like their monetization strategies and everything. So that was another good episode. I forgot to mention.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm connected here on LinkedIn, I think, with the CFO of OnlyFans. Maybe we'll invite him on.
That would be a great the financials of OnlyFans.
Yeah,
be the greatest episode. That'd be an awesome episode.
So, Ramona, when you asked about Day-to-Days Texas, you didn't know that you were asking a hot question. And I didn't have any particular reason for not going other than that I've got a lot of family commitments right now. But I would say that to kind of spin off of Lauren's take on conferences, if I could live the rest of my life without ever going to a data conference again, that's what I will do. Because I've been to Snowflake a couple times. I've been to Data Council. I've been to DBT Coalesce, and I don't think I've ever felt more dead inside than I have at those conferences. There's just something off about. I've met terrific individuals who become close friends, who go to all of those and work in them and blah, blah, blah. But there's something in the overall vibe that's just like really, really, really off. And they're, from a business standpoint, I didn't find them either useful or edifying. And I will not go.
When I don't know, when messages on LinkedIn started showing up about the Data Day Texas, like maybe 6 months ago or something, when I started watching your show and I saw both of you, so I wanted to book a trip so I would go there and meet both of you. So imagine.
I'm an hour of plane ride away from you.
I know, and we've been chatting, right? So because you do these town halls, actually I got to meet with you and connect and all of that. So this is way more. I don't know, it's more personal, we talk to each other. There in the big crowd, you don't have time to connect. And I would have just liked to be there. A lot of the people that I wanted to meet in person are there, but then I realized it's one very cramped day. You don't get much out of it. So all those plans, right? So if I ever decide to go, it will be as a speaker. So somebody, if I decide, but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, ultimately events are what? They're for the people running them, generally they're either for their own marketing purposes or pure outright money making ventures for them too. So that's not saying there's anything nefarious going on, but yeah, like
one of the bigger scams out there. Like, not that it is a scam. It's just like, a lowercase s scam, not a all caps scam, is how much people pay to get booths and to get a speaker spot, and it's all paid for. It's all pay to play for all of it, which I think a lot of younger people don't know necessarily, or they assume that it isn't. But like it's all pay to play, and I don't think there's good returns on it for most of these companies. Like you spend $20,000 to get the tier 3 booth just to be on the floor somewhere. You spend 50, 100,000, whatever, 150 to get the good display and booth. And then like, if you get one customer out of that, like one net new customer out of that whole thing, after you've spent, 100,000, and then you've spent, someone speaking, and there's a little bit of this going on with who gets the speaker roles at things. Maybe spend another 25,000 or something for that. Like if you get one customer out of that, you need to be selling at least $150,000 or so contract per year just to get that immediate ROI on it. And a lot of these companies don't, or a lot of these companies are selling $10,000 a year software, or 20,000, or just open source stuff, and they're not getting any return on it. So the economics don't really make sense of any of this.
The speakers, I think, collect the money so they can bootstrap their their companies and what. I mean, it's an interesting way, right? It's when you don't want to get VCs to Laura, I know nothing about that, so that's your area of expertise. But this kind of makes sense. And well, if you made a name for yourself and you get invited and you get to charge good money and use that money to further your interests and, I don't know, the community, uplift the community that way, sure, yeah, it's but it's all a game. And I got to go to the Snowflake when it was in Toronto, just because I made arrangements to meet with Sonny Rivera, so he was there, and it was a good opportunity. But really, there were booths where they were not even attempting to chat with you. They would just hand you the merch. Like, it was just like that. And I met a very, very smart person at the Taiku, or whatever the name is pronounced, booth. And so I struck the conversation. She was obviously from the tech side, and we could just chat and chat and chat. And she also appreciated chatting with somebody who knew how to chat about, not just there for the socks or whatever they were handing out. And it goes, and then you would see all these people moving around with bags filled with all that merch, and then it's
just a weird sort of sociological phenomenon. And I do think that the trade conferences in general and these types of events of all types will phase out over the next 5 years. That's my hot take, because once people are willing to say, like, 99% of this is bullshit, and, like, I'm doing it because I get 4 days away from the wife and kids, or I get to happy hours and high rolling restaurants or whatever paid by the company. Once there's more honesty around all of that, I think people will, companies will just, and various organizations will just stop having these events. Is there an advantage to meeting in person? Yes, absolutely. But it comes back to that, like, one-on-one, like, you're much better off, rather than spending $100,000 on a conference, spending $10,000 to go spend a day or 48 hours with your top 2 prospects and wine and dine them and have a great time, rather than all this money going to the
I've snuck into these conferences too. All the real deals get done over dinner or a beer or whatever. Like, all the real business gets done, outside of that. And, like, I went to, I'm going to one next month. I'm going to Ramp Up Live Ramps conference in San Francisco at the end of February, and I'll be around if anyone in San Francisco wants to say hi or stop around. I'm not going for the conference. I'm going to be in San Francisco next to the conference, and
going rogue.
I'm going to buy a ticket to the conference and go in and see some people and shake some hands I need to shake. But you go to the conference to be around the conference. So we'll see what happens with all this stuff going forward. But anyone else in the comments have a prediction for this year or where things are going? Happy to chat on that.
Angela Hurdle says, I was afraid to win the merch at the Salesforce Roadshow. What would I do with a 6-foot bear, and how would I get it anywhere in NYC? You'd probably get arrested, Angela. You'd have to take that anywhere with you.
You'd go on the subway with your gigantic Salesforce bear.
And Josue says,
on TikTok.
How Mr. Bogron, how do I pronounce his name? It's not hard. Josue. Okay. All right. I apologize for mispronouncing your name, my friend. I've done it before. He says, I disagree about all tech conferences being pay to play. Some have a balance of voted for presentations as well as sponsored slots. And in response to that, I would say, sure, but I don't know, when have you heard a great talk at a tech conference?
There's a few. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the reason that these things exist is to just suck money from the ecosystem. So, like, think about it as an octopus, right? Like, Snowflake's an octopus, and they're like the head. Then they've got all these tentacles out, and the tentacles are just all the other vendors that want to do more business with Snowflake, and and just extract it back up to the mothership. And I'm just picking on Snowflake. Like, there's 100 other vendors you can name that do this. But whatever. I think it's all kind of going away. And I've hosted a data conference before, and I just invited on. I did it over 2 days. I had like 5 or 6 speakers the first day and 5 or 6 speakers the next day, and nothing's paid or anything. And I think more of these things need to happen, just like because it's easier now than ever just to set up like a 2-day long or 1-day long webinar or something, and just have people come in and out. And I did that late 2022, and it's great. And a lot of people are appreciative of just hearing people talk about their thing that they're working on or doing. Have a good mix of people. And then like the other thing is like, I guess my final point on this is that like all the best stuff I learn is like, not necessarily in the tech world or the data world. It's learning how a company that has a fleet of 50 plumbing trucks and 80 plumbers, and learning what their CRM is, like whether it's Service Titan or something else, and like learning how that system works, which is nowhere near the tech world. I mean, it is tech, like they're using technology, but like learning how they manage that fleet and like how they balance, jobs. And, when you get like, oh, we'll be here from a window of, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And like, all right, that's a 5-hour window. Like learning how that all works is very interesting. And you can apply that to any different type of industry or any different type of function, and I think a lot of data people, is a final point here, will do very well this year to really understand how retention marketing works and how the marketing space overall works. Because at the end of the day, like all the bottom of funnel data stuff is eventually like finance. And then all the top of funnel stuff is like go to market, whether, you're selling ads or, having SDRs call people up or, whatever it is, depending on your business. But learning how those levers work, because those levers are going to get shifted around this year, with all the stuff we mentioned earlier, with the end of the cookie and email marketing, like having huge problems with spam rates. I think that like a lot of people would do well to learn more about how go to market and marketing works, and those are the high value opportunities.
And that's kind of what matters in data now, rather than getting distracted by some of the nonsense people have been distracted by, various tooling, and now obviously the AI hype cycle. It's understanding some of those ABCs of data that are going to matter, whether you're a small company, a medium company, and it's only the really big companies that need to worry about any of the fancier stuff like machine learning and all that, right?
Yeah, more or less.
I'm glad.
Sean says, have you ever found that the tech you saw at a data conference actually changed the tools you use in your own preferred stack? Were you swayed one way or another on a data technology? Well, the answer is no.
Not for
me personally. Yeah. I mean, I put names to faces, and because I know everybody who like I know, like, all right, I look at a booth and okay, that has been funded by Sequoia, and then Andreessen Horowitz came on, and right next to them is a rival company that these other people invested. So when I go to a tech conference, I'm looking at like, in the back of my head, because I already know for a lot of these people who they are, like what the like layers of financing are behind this. And I have a good time laughing about that, especially when rivals are next to each other. But I've never actually, I don't think there's ever been a decision that's made. Like all the decisions are actually made at the dinners and stuff after the conference, where you got to take out your, take out whoever you're schmoozing, or if you're not selling anything, be schmoozed, get that steak dinner or whatever. And that, because that's where the real deals happen.
I think what I've learned at conferences is that most stuff can still be done in Excel, and that a lot of what's being announced is stuff that doesn't exist yet, that's been in beta for a while and probably will be potentially forever. So yeah, Larry Blick has a good comment. How else will they sell their magic data elixir to the tech masses? I think he means if we don't have these conferences to do it at.
Yeah, the snake oil. I don't know.
Yeah.
You'll have to use LinkedIn influencers and influencers everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Lauren, you should put all that knowledge into a knowledge graph and sell it. I mean, we could all benefit. I understand what you are saying, and to have that graph in your mind, and the same goes with connecting with people, right? You know, this person is connecting to that and that and that, and this is how we make connections. And I wanted to mention earlier, good for including the snowflake portion of the of the show. Sorry, it was hard not to laugh, and I forgot what I wanted to say something else, but
I'm down for any snowflake.
oh yes. You promised that you're gonna do something about educating us on the finances.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things together. I'm gonna debut it in a week or two. About, like, one of my big things is all these tech people, like mostly even PMs, but like engineers, analysts, whatever. A lot of people just don't know finance, like basic finance, like how to read a balance sheet. What is an income statement? What does profit and loss mean? How does this all work? So I've been putting together a bunch of stuff, and I'm just going to make it available soon in the next couple of weeks and just release it out there and, have and make it a work in progress and keep, putting out materials for like a lot of tech people, and then a lot of tech people have like wanted to learn more about all this.
Yeah, and if you guys want, we can talk it through in a show if you want, if that's useful either to Lauren and or her readers and viewers and all that. Because definitely in the responses we've gotten overall to the show, it's been Lauren's take and sort of explanations of how people need to better understand data people, and everyone needs to understand the basics of finance and of how business works that have gotten, really, I think, a lot of appreciation. So you're not alone, Ramona, in wanting that. So love it. We've got to wrap because I've got to go sell a car. I've got a buyer coming here in a minute.
Not Carvana.
Sorry. Not on Carvana. No, I refuse to give I sold it on Craigslist. So if I don't show up for the next show, you'll know that I've been killed by whoever came to buy my car.
Oh man.
No, I'm being safe.
Is it your electrical car?
No, it's my I used to live in Colorado, so I have a Subaru, and I just don't need that here in LA. So I'm gonna get that off my hands. So cool. Wish me luck.
Good luck.
But we'll see. Thank you as always for joining, Ramona. You're welcome anytime. One last comment here before we leave. A last comment from Larry Blick. Power BI is the top BI tool and has a limited capacity of 1 gigabyte that has not changed since inception. Tells me everything I need to know about why provisioning data for AI and ML is inconsequential, to say the least. Yeah, absolutely. The whole AI and ML is so distant from most business realities. Thanks for everyone who joined in the comments, and we will be back either next week or the week after. We haven't decided yet. We'll let everybody know.
Yeah, we're over tech shows, whatever we feel like it.
Whatever we feel like.
Right. Well,
okay.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, bros. Bye.